Well, I don't have a real good understanding of the use of impact fees or why they're even in place. I'd really have to learn more about an impact fee. Attracting businesses out to Yacolt is one of the things that the current mayor and town council is working on that I'd like to continue into the future. We have the Modoc Railroad School looking at us as a site for their new school development, which is, from everything that I've seen, and we had a public meeting about it a few weeks ago, it's a win-win for them, it's a win-win for Clark County, it's a win-win for Yacolt. It would bring in a few jobs, it would bring in the potential for lots of customers to come through Yacolt, which would help get us visualized throughout the county and even a little bit further as the conductors and the engineers that they train go nationwide. So that's one of those things that I need to gather more information on. So I've heard of the impact fees. I've never really, from a business standpoint, looked at what they are and how they affect somebody. Do I think they should be to the point where they discourage somebody from working or trying to establish a business? Absolutely not. That's counterproductive. You know, I really don't know how to address that one without having a better handle on the way the taxes are distributed amongst the taxpayers. You know, I've gone to the GIS site on the county site and I've looked at my taxes. I've brought up my property taxes and how they're split up. You know, we're not that heavily taxed here, but when we're in a downturn the way we are now, increasing the taxes on the taxpayer, it's a dodgy kind of thing to do because people are already hurting. They may or may not be making as much as they were 6 months, a year ago. They may not be able to handle an additional tax, and a lot of it is the packaging. I'll use the example that in the primaries that just went through, the EMS excess levy tax. That's raising a specific amount of money over a specific period of time, and most of the taxpayers are going to look at it in terms of, okay, they're presenting it to me where I'm going to be paying 10 cents per thousand on my home, but it may not look like that in the end. You get the levy passed, it's going to be for a specific amount of money. But if the analysts are correct and home prices drop again, the individual tax burden's going to remain the same, but the tax taken out per thousand will probably increase. Most people are going to only focus on, hey, they said I was going to be 10 cents on 1,000, but now I'm paying 15 or 17 cents on the 1,000. But the initial tax burden that each homeowner is going to pay on that is, I think I worked it out for my home at $249. I'll still pay that $249, but my home value may have dropped from what it is now to $15,000, $20,000 less. So we need to be prepared to answer questions like that. The state laws, trying to wade through the state RCWs to understand why an excess levy can't be collected over a period of time for, say, example, the life of the excess levy. The excess levy currently under the MS is for 3 years, and they're going to collect it all in 1 year. I haven't been able to find any reason why in the state RCWs it has to be collected in 1 year. Why can't it be spread out over the 3 years to cover that time frame? Taxes that's a hotbed subject for most people because people already feel they're taxed enough. they planning on widening fourth lane to keep the existing lanes, or just eliminating a lane entirely for the bus from each side, east and west? I mean, I'm not familiar with that subject. We have one C-Tran route that comes out to Yacolt once in the morning, once at night. That's all we get. So something like that that's going to affect actual Vancouver is really not going to have that much pertinence to us out there in Yacolt. It can be better managed. I mean, you have to look at it in terms of take it from the large, away from the large, and take it from the average consumer. If you're talking about hybrid technologies, which, you know, they're good in the long run, they can do some good things. However, the cost-benefit ratio isn't what it should be. If, as a homeowner, you want to get self-sustaining power, wind power or solar power, and it's going to cost you $20,000, so just a round number, $20,000 to get this stuff installed in your house, but it's going to take you 15, 20 years to start seeing any benefit from that, but you might not have that house in 15, 20 years. So there's no benefit to that. So if they're going to invest money in a money-losing prospect, such as this hybrid initiative, then stop doing it, because you're wasting the money that's coming in. That money can be better used on something else. It can be better used on better maintenance. It can be better used on improving the stops or increasing the routes. So if it's a wasteful prospect like that one sounds like, stop doing it. Not really. I haven't seen anything in any of the medias that convinces me that we need it. Somebody came up with the idea, I don't know whom, I don't know when, but I don't see a real need for us to have light rail in Clark County. Every proposal that I've read in the Columbian seems to bring light rail into a certain point that only services maybe a tenth of Clark County and then jumps over to Portland. Well, we're not Portland. We're Vancouver, Clark County, Yacolt, Battleground, Woodland. We're all that. We're not Portland. We're not Oregon. So if you're going to set something up, it has to service us, not Portland. If I had my druthers over the Columbia River crossing or the 192nd bridge, I'd go with the 192nd bridge. Growth is an inevitable thing. It's going to happen. So there's no reason to fight it. There's no reason to do the Chicken Little, the sky is falling kind of thing. Just find the most logical way to do it. We need a functional bridge. We don't need some fancy looking architecture, basically 90% useless bridge except for the part where the traffic crosses. We need a bridge that works. And their popular opinion, I've talked to a lot of people, family members, friends, nobody's really in favor of tolls. Nobody wants those. A bridge across 192nd would be the better route. It costs less. Wouldn't have to burden the taxpayers as much as the Columbia River crossing purports to do. So I'd rather go with the bridge, the third bridge. It makes better sense, makes better business sense as well to build something that costs less but does the same thing. tend to be more conservative when it comes to something like that. I'm one of those folks that just spend within your means. Don't overextend. Don't put too much burden on the taxpayers, because if you start putting too much burden on the taxpayers, they're just going to leave, go somewhere else where it doesn't cost so much. No, not really. I don't.